The Denver Broncos get more interesting news about their matchup coming up on Saturday in the divisional round against the Buffalo Bills. What is going on, Broncos country? It's your boy Denver Trav back with another video. If you enjoy Broncos content, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It helps recommend me to more Bronco fans like yourself. James Palmer put out information about the Bills' injury updates ahead of the Broncos game. Terrell Shavers, knee injury, and is still being evaluated for the injury. Jordan Poyer is a week-to-week with a hamstring and won't play versus the Broncos. Dalton Kincaid is fine for the week of practice. Terrell Bernard, Maxwell Harrison, and Ty Johnson are all improving. Josh Allen Soren will do whatever to play. Damar Hamlin's on a good week working back. See where he's at this week. Ed Oliver open to return to practice, as well as Curtis Samuel. So the thing that's interesting to me is the fact that Buffalo's on a short week, Denver's had a long week, and Buffalo is beat up from the Jacksonville Jaguars game. And not only are they facing a defense that's better than Jacksonville, they're facing a defense that gets after the quarterback more than any other team in the NFL. So this is a huge advantage for the Broncos heading into the divisional round. Gabe Davis has torn his ACL per coach Sean McDermott, per Ian Rappaport reporting this. I just want to say prayers to Gabe Davis. Hope you have a great recovery and hope to see you on the football field real soon. Catherine Fitzgerald puts out a report saying Bills head coach Sean McDermott says Terrell Shavers' knee is still being evaluated. Safety Jordan Poyer is week to week but will not play Saturday against the Broncos. And tight end Dalton Kincaid, who is in a boot, should be fine, McD says, which is very interesting. Dalton Kincaid's in a boot. You're going against a really gritty, hard-hitting defense that gets after players, gets after the quarterback. It's going to be hitting the tight end quite a bit if they go to Kincaid. And also, this could kind of affect the Buffalo Bills' game plan. Kincaid's one of their better offensive weapons. You've already lost Gabe Davis. So this is something to watch out for with Kincaid. I know McD says he's going to be fine, but you don't just wear a boot for no reason. Here's some good information about Sean Payton versus the Bills since becoming the Broncos head coach. Sean Payton is 1-1 versus the Bills since becoming the Broncos head coach in 2023. The Broncos upset Buffalo as 7.5-point favorite, 24-22 on Monday Night Football on November 13th of 2023 at Highmark Stadium on a 36-yard field goal by Will Lutz on the final play. Then lost to the Buffalo Bills in the wild card of 2024, 31-7 at Buffalo. And we heard Sean Payton talk about how he wants to play this game at home, and he got his wish. Mike Kliss put out a two-parter today talking about why he thinks the Broncos will beat the Bills. He said the Broncos are a tough team. Tough physically and mentally. They should wear down the Bills playing on a short rest in the altitude in 4 quarters. Just a hunch, Denver's D is ready to go on a takeaway run. I actually agree with Mike Kliss. I think Denver's defense showed last week that they're ready to start getting takeaways, and I think Sean Payton and Vance Joseph has been banging it in their head probably this whole week, talking about, hey, we need to capitalize on the turnover margin, we need to get the takeaways. And that's going to be a big piece of this game is Denver getting takeaways. Currently, the Broncos are 1.5-point underdogs to the Buffalo Bills for next Saturday's divisional round game. And like Zach Kelberman said, it's time to be the overdogs again. This is something the Broncos have lived on pretty much all year. It seems like they always want to bet that the Broncos are going to lose. And when they bet this, the Broncos end up winning. And like Bo Nick said, they're the overdogs, and I think this is going to be one of those games where they shock the world and show everybody that they're the overdogs. Corbin Smith put out that he's been told the Broncos-Bills game will likely be Saturday night. So that would mean the Seahawks get the early window, and that is great for the Broncos. A night game in Mile High, woohoo! That crowd is going to be rocking, it's going to be shaking, and Josh Allen ain't going to be able to hear squat. And it's going to be an amazing, amazing feeling seeing how that crowd impacts the Buffalo Bills offense. And I know people are going to say, well, Josh Allen is on a heater. Josh Allen's one of the best playoff performers. Josh Allen just walked in Jacksonville and beat Jacksonville. Jacksonville to Denver as a stadium, as a fan base, is nowhere remotely close. We're talking about a small market in Jacksonville. We're talking about the Denver Broncos, the Mile High. That stadium's going to be roaring. It's going to be shaking. And it's going to be a huge advantage for the Broncos. And I don't know about you all, but I absolutely want the revenge. I remember when Mac Hollins did this to Pat Surtain last year, and it absolutely ran all over me. I just can't wait to see Dre Greenlaw out there, and I know he's going to make some big plays. He's going to bring that firepower to this defense, and I'm super excited for that. Zach Stevens put out a great tweet. Shout out to Zach Stevens. The Broncos have a massive scheduling advantage over the Buffalo Bills in the divisional round. The Broncos have 13 days from their last game until the divisional round game on Saturday. The Bills only have 6 days. The Broncos had a bye week. The Bills had a short week. We talked about that a little bit earlier in this episode, talking about the divisional round, Broncos versus Bills. I think the advantage that the Broncos have with the rest, being able to come into a game fresh, and I know people are going to say, well, they're going to be rusty. Bro, I would rather a team be rested than come into this postseason the way the Bills are right now in the divisional round, getting beat up against the Jaguars, half of their roster's beat up. Josh Allen's a little bit banged up. James Cook's a little bit banged up. Dalton Kincaid's banged up. It just shows you the advantage of getting that one seed, and that bye is so important. And that's why 50% of one seeds since the 17 playoffs go to the Super Bowl. Zach Seegers tweeted, Sean Payton is 4-0 in his career off of a postseason bye. He's won 4 of those games by an average of 31-17. Funny enough, 31-17 was the score of his Super Bowl win, which of course is one of those 4 postseason games off of a bye, which is super, super interesting. Shout out to Parker Gabriel for putting out this tweet. He said Sean Payton said he looked around the Highmark Stadium a year ago near the end of the Broncos' playoff loss to the Buffalo Bills and thought, we need to find a way to play this game at home. Now the number 1 Denver Broncos are set to host the number 6 Buffalo Bills in the divisional round this coming Saturday, which is absolutely crazy that it's came around complete circle. And the Denver Broncos now going to play the team they played in the wild card last year at home that Sean Payton was practically begging to get a home game against this Buffalo Bills team. In other news, we heard that George Payton is likely to get an extension, which is on the Broncos' radars. Payton is entering his final year of a 6-year deal that he agreed to in 2021 and has done a remarkable job turning around the Broncos despite being in cap/draft pick hell from the Russell Wilson trade. I will actually give George Payton a break. Yeah, the Russell Wilson era was tough. But I think at that moment he thought, hey, I can go out and get a Hall of Fame quarterback and we can build something. Was he wrong? I will admit he was wrong. But he's drafted pretty well for the Broncos. They've drafted pretty solid. And I think overall he's turned his thing around since Sean Payton's became the head coach. And I think that's where it all started. Sean Payton has saved George Payton's job. And I think they just work so well together that you need George Payton, you need Sean Payton. These two guys mesh like gel. And it's absolutely what Denver needs in the front office. Let me know in the comments below what you think the score is going to be in the divisional round, Buffalo versus Denver in Denver. And if you enjoy Broncos content, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and go Broncos.